I ain't never upset watching another black person go in business and try to make something for themselves. Because it was just funny because, I mean, even the maintenance guy, he's like, why didn't you just wait? All right, they couldn't work. Why am I going to wait for you? They can't work. You know, I had to learn, like, you can't operate out of fear. You can't scare people into doing what you want them to do. And he said, man, you know, I got to show you, I want you to see how to properly negotiate a lease.
Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get authentic answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. Join me every week as me and my special guest reveal the keys to longevity and success in the beauty industry, from the ups and downs of their journey to the nitty-gritty of their struggles and triumphs. We're spilling the tea on it all, and most importantly, having fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty here, Aquia Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. Now, today on the Friends in Beauty podcast, I welcome Derrenzo Hines, aka Renz, to the Friends in Beauty guest chair. So Renz is the owner of Salon Renz, Sweets by Renz, Bundles by Renz. Y'all see the theme here? Y'all see the theme, okay? So welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, Renz. How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
I am great now that you are here. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Well, let's get talking.
Let's get talking. All right. He's like, let's get to it. So we're going to start off with some icebreakers to get us warmed up, and so the Friends in Beauty audience can get to know you outside of what you do professionally, which is a lot. So the first one, just give us 3 random facts about you.
I'm a cigar connoisseur.
Okay.
I am a car connoisseur, and I'm a sneakerhead.
Okay. Cars, cigars, and sneakers. I like that. Okay. What is your guilty pleasure right now?
It's a good question. Um, I really like a cigar called a Java Mint, and I like to have it with my coffee in the morning.
Okay.
So it's or just coffee in general. I drink coffee all day.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I have coffee, I really want to smoke that cigar at the same time.
Okay.
Like getting a piece of chocolate while I'm drinking my coffee or something.
Nice. Okay. Where you get your cigars from?
I mean locally the Tinderbox in Waldorf, but you know, we order cigar bed. Or most cigar sites, you know, you try to get on an order in bulk.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I've dibbled and dabbled. I'm not a connoisseur by any means, but I've dibbled and tried it before. It's okay.
Yeah. Now, if it's a connoisseur listening, by all means, I'm not saying that Java Mint is a great cigar. All right, it's just a treat.
Okay. Okay. Well, I got these things called pod decks that have like these random questions in them. This is a
Okay.
what the heck and a would you rather. Which one do you
Okay.
want?
Would you rather?
Would you rather? Okay. And please don't give him a crazy card that's going to scare him away from us. Let's see. Oh, well, this is interesting. Would you rather never be able to use search engines again or never use smartphone apps again? Oh my God.
Mm,
Search engines or
I take
apps?
the app
Yeah.
because I feel like I can circumvent through the search engine to get what I need for the app in some
I
kind of
think the
way.
I think the opposite. I would choose to keep my apps because I feel like you can search on the apps now, like on YouTube and Instagram. It's like searchable now.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm just not a big contrary to popular belief. While I do like attention, I'm just not a big you know, social media. I don't know. I like the in person,
Yeah,
old
in
school. You
person.
give me an encyclopedia, I find it. You know,
Yeah, in person attention.
yeah.
Okay. What do people always tell you that you're good at aside from running multiple businesses?
Uh, you know, charm. People like I guess I've been known to have some charisma
Okay.
when I need to have it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get you fired up for sure.
Okay. I want to see that side of you one day.
Yeah, it's a thing. People say.
Okay. When is the last time that you did something for the first time? Any new experiences?
Um, Something for the first time. Probably this summer. My boy decided that he wanted to get on the boat while we were at the wharf.
Uh-huh.
And I've been on the boat before, but just not randomly. Just randomly went and got on some boat with some folks. Just no real, no real destination. Like, hey, can we get on your boat? And it was
Okay.
like, hey, come on. So not getting on the boat was not the first time, but just being that spontaneous with no real control.
Yeah.
That's not really my thing. Normally, I like to know, what's actually going on, what's
Hmm.
happening. But I was just kind of a free spirit that day.
Like he must have some charm too for complete strangers to let him on the boat.
He wanted to get on the boat. We were down there, and that was his thing. I wanted to get on the boat, and we were at dinner with our ladies, and it was a part of the discussion the whole time. And he just found a boat.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I hear that. So the last one, if you weren't running these multiple Renz empires, the Salon Renz, Suites by Renz, bundles, you doing everything. Like what else could you see yourself doing? Do you have any other like entrepreneurial passions or something you always wanted to do?
Um, well, the thing is, a lot of people forget I was a police officer before I was
Really?
running the salon. So probably by now, if I had not resigned, I probably would have been a captain or a lieutenant. So I think I
Hmm.
would have been trying to become the chief of police
Okay.
for DC. Uh, it's always something I, often ponder. If I should have stayed or what could have been.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, still a love and passion of mine, the law enforcement industry.
Hmm.
Um, but entrepreneurial wise, I don't know what else I'd be doing. I mean, this has been a part of my life from birth. My father had a salon, and I've done other things. People just always talk about the salons, but I mean, I have done other things. I've had tag and title businesses. I've had
Okay.
car dealerships. Um, I've had a detail service. So
Hmm.
it's not like this is the only thing, but sometimes you got to find what you're good at and just king it.
Yeah.
And that's just what I honed in on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. So I had no idea. We got to circle back to this law enforcement. I had no, so you were actually a police officer
In the sixth district.
in the sixth district. Where is that at?
That is east of the river,
Okay.
anything from Kenilworth Avenue, all the way to Good Hope Road across Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean,
I'm in
295.
five.
Huh?
I'm in the fifth district, Ward 5.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, worked midnights. I was there. Well, I started as a cadet out of high school.
Wow.
So I
And how long
went
were you there?
I went when I was 17 and I turned over to a sworn officer, of course, at 20 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I don't know, until I was about 29, till I
Wow.
resigned. Yeah.
Wow. Why did you resign?
The business was taking off. It was getting hard to, be in business and try to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a decision. And I mean, the decision was ultimately to jump into the head business. I figured I was still young enough to go back to the police department if it didn't work,
Mm-hmm.
but I hadn't quite looked back. So it's
Got you.
worked.
Got got you. So which business did you start first while you were in the police department?
Well, my father had the salon, so when he passed away, I took over at
Got you.
19. And so it was a part of me. I was doing all of it for a long time, almost 10 years before I just said, hey, it's time to figure out where we're going. And then when my first daughter was born, um, was on the scene and I just realized like, I really like what I'm doing, but I got these kids
Yeah.
and I got out and it just kind of like God just put it in my spirit to move.
Hmm.
So
Wow,
I
I'm so
ain't look
sorry
back.
to hear about your father passing away.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
As a
Yeah.
19-year-old, like what was that like at that age taking over that business? Because I'm pretty sure that's like a lot of pressure to be taking over your father's business and then have to, keep it going.
Yeah, it was a lot. Um, but like I say, I'm like the epitome of a shop baby, as they call them. I
Okay.
mean, my mother did hair, my father owned and cut hair. Um, my mother managed. I was always in the salon.
Hmm.
So the thing is, I knew what to do, um, but I hadn't done it.
Okay.
So that's the difference. I had to figure out my way. And once I figured that out, I just the pressure was always, I mean, the pressure's always on when you're in the leadership
Hmm.
kind of role. So it doesn't matter, what it is. The pressure's on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seasoned in the business, but I just think, I mean, I just wanted to do it. I didn't want to close. He had staff that didn't want to leave, and
Right.
that those staff members had been with us for a long time
Hmm.
and just felt like the right thing to do. It was like my second home.
Yeah.
And my mother didn't want to close. So, we just carried on, and it was part of the grieving process too.
Hmm. Hmm. In what way?
I mean, for me, grieving for me I've learned is keeping busy.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, it was part of it, so I just didn't, kind of dwell in what was occurring. Uh, and I mean, now I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess it'd be many different opinions on that, but for me, it worked. And
Yeah.
here we are. I mean, I wanted to have something to show, and I started to, really want to say, generational wealth is something. Now it became monumental to me about when I was like 20. I started to realize that I had something that a lot of people didn't,
Yeah.
and which was a blessing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Where's the original salon located?
well, I mean, the original building was on St. Barnabas Road, 4620. It's a
Hmm.
convenience store now.
Okay.
But his original salon that he opened in 75 was there. And he had moved to Stamp Road from there where I took over.
Hmm.
So, I mean, but I no longer have that location. I moved to the first location that everybody kind of knows about, which
Got
would
you.
be on Hill Road.
Okay. So speaking of like generational wealth and everything, how have you gone about expanding since then?
I mean, well, we went from, well, let me just say, my father was like ahead of the curve because his salon that he had like 30 stations and shoot, I
Wow.
think like 20 shampoo bowls in one building. I mean, it
Oh,
was a big
wow.
facility. And we're talking about the 70s, 80s, and the 90s.
Yeah.
So me, I don't know about a small salon. I don't know, when people come and say, "Hey, I just want a small space." It just doesn't resonate with me. I don't know about it. I've seen them and they look nice, but I mean, I've always been around and in a large facility.
Hmm.
So for my father, I mean, he didn't have to have multiple locations. He had one big one that was the size of people's multiples.
Right.
Uh, so when I took over, I realized that wow, that was nice. It's power in quantity. And I just began the quest of trying to duplicate the process. How many times can we duplicate this? And how fast can I get the operation to run without me?
Hmm.
Do I have to be there every day? How
Yeah.
can I make it more passive? And that was my main goal because my mother and my father, they still were working cosmetologists while they did own the business, but I didn't want to be behind the chair.
Hmm.
I wanted to focus on the actual business of it. So, I mean, like now, my kids, if something happened, they could step in, and kind of pick up where I left off because there's no behind the chair. We're not losing any revenue because I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess to my point, I made it so that it's a machine, so it can just kind of continue to function, so long as we maintenance it and do right by people.
Yeah. Is that a skill that you just learned from being in the business, or did you have some mentors along the way that kind of helped you to learn how to expand it the way that you wanted to?
I didn't have any mentors. I mean, I had mentors, I guess people. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, my father was a big influence. So yeah, I mean, I had talked about this. What everybody sees right now, him and I had talked about this. He just didn't live long enough for it
Mm.
to happen. And I mean, had he lived long enough, all that you see right now would have been happening a decade ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had talked about it. It was a dream that we had, almost put on paper. I mean, we did put on paper, but we were just about to get started on it. And he ultimately passed away. So I think that just dreaming that dream was a driving force. Wow, yeah, I made a whole lot of mistakes, crawl along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I mean, I think that, you know, one thing I'm gonna believe, and I'm real big in just listening to what the atmosphere, the environment, listening to the world, listening to God, all of those things. When something tells you to move, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And I done kind of just mastered the ability to move forward without worry. I walk in the building. Hey, I can feel it. This is where we going, and it's worked each
Mm-hmm.
time. So I don't change the formula.
I
You
know
know,
that's right. I know that's what kind of mistakes did you make early on that kind of set you up for success now, having gone through what you had to go through to get to where you are now?
well, one of the most recent mistakes, and I don't talk much, but I had a salon in Bowie, and I remember walking in the building, and I didn't feel it. I just was, I wanted to go, but I just did not feel like it normally when I normally knew.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I went on and, you know, arrogantly went on with it, and then COVID hit. And the business was thriving, but COVID hit, and the landlords were unworkable. They didn't want to, do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I was like, look, I can't save this one. I got 5 other ones where I have landlords that are willing to work with me and, do so that I can stay in business and open back up.
Yeah.
So when I let it go, we ultimately had to try to buy out of the lease. But the thing was, buying out the lease just wasn't even the problem. I mean, well, it was, but the point is, had I listened to my gut feeling from the get-go, I
Yeah.
would have never been in that spot. I would have
Mm-hmm.
never been there. So I always coin that as like my greatest tragedy because I knew that I should not have gone, but it was so appealing and I wanted to try to branch into a new market, different clientele. And it did. As soon as I opened it up, it was a hit. It's like as soon as I opened it up, we were booked, we were busy. I had people calling. It's like all the signs were there that it was going to be a good thing. But I
Yeah.
knew in my heart of hearts that God was telling me, don't do it. And of course, I begrudgingly went on against my normal formula, and here we are. We no longer have it. But
Mhm.
COVID came. I think if COVID hadn't hit, we probably would have been fine, or something else probably would have happened. You never
Mm-hmm.
know. But I mean, COVID was definitely a deterrent, a determining factor in that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so many things that went wrong that are along the way. I mean, we'd be here for a whole day.
Give me like one thing that went wrong other than the pandemic.
I well, when we moved from the location I took over from my father, I didn't know nothing about nothing. I thought I knew something, and we went into a building on Old Silver Hill Road, and people don't realize this, but power is not power, and water is not water. It's not all one and the same. and we think it is until you want to open a salon. And that's when you realize you got to go into a facility that has enough power coming to the building and enough water coming into the building. And I had went into this building. It was a good deal. And I remember the first Saturday we opened, we couldn't keep the power on in the building. It just kept going out. I mean, I kept going to the circuit breaker. The people next door were having power issues. Like we were almost, I guess, going to shut the block down.
Right.
And I had to end up paying for a heavy up. A heavy up is when they bring power from the street, from the grid to the street, to your building. And it was a costly mistake because this money that I couldn't see, that money didn't do anything for the aesthetic of the building. And had I been educated on,
Hey, I know you're enjoying the episode, but I need you to do something really, really important for me, like right now. I need you to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and let the people know how much you love the Friends of Beauty podcast. See, in the podcast streets, I'm going to let you know something. If you don't leave a review, then people don't know that the show exists, and then the show won't grow. Reviews are so essential to the continued success of the Friends of Beauty podcast, and plus, I really just want to know what you think about the podcast. I appreciate all the DMs, but a 5-star review would be even better. I would love to read your review on the show and give you a shout out for being a loyal listener. And if it's not a 5-star review, don't even worry about it. All right, don't even worry. Just go ahead and send me an email, honey. We ain't got time for that. If you're watching me on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and even leave a comment to share a takeaway from something that you learned so far. If you don't subscribe or give a thumbs up, then the YouTube streets don't know that the Friends of Beauty podcast exists either. You see how this is going? This is a group effort, and I appreciate you so, so much. Okay, I'm done. Let's go ahead and get back into the episode.
how much power it took to operate and function a salon, I would have never made, or at least if I did make the mistake, it would have been an educated mistake, and I would have known what I was up against. I didn't know nothing. I had a shop full of people. I had like 10 stylists. And I mean, we were so excited this grand opening day. And imagine this your grand opening day and it just go black.
Right. Oh, the horror.
It was just not a good thing. And I mean, it was costly on top of that. So I mean, I coined that as one of the things early learning, because now I know I'm not going in this building unless it's enough power. I mean, there's got to be enough water. Just things that we don't think about when they just go looking at buildings because they look nice and shiny.
Right.
But I mean, that's probably one of the most. I mean, I got so many, but I think that one might have been one of the most embarrassing because I have put myself on the cross with these people. Like, hey, look, it's gonna be a better chance for us, and I mean, I was trying to sell the move because people didn't want to move. I was, trying to sell it. And I did with my charm. And it was like, nah, man, it just didn't work. It took me, I had to schedule the heavy up. It was just a lot. I mean, even going through that whole process was a lot.
It had to happen though.
Well, yeah, it had to happen. I was already, knee deep, and I had already spent quite a bit of money. So I just, like I tell people, when you already broke, if you got money, I mean, what difference is it to go broker? You already done spent the money. You already you so far in it that if you have the cash, you might as well spend it, because a lot of people got to realize this is a long term. This is not a cash grab. You got to be in this thing long term for the long haul to really see the fruits of your labor. It takes a while. And I mean, I knew I was in it. So, hey, look, we're going to spend the money and we're going to keep rolling.
Yes. About how long were you in the business before you can say you started like seeing the fruits of your labor?
Uh, because I reinvested so much so fast, it probably took me about 8 years where I could really say, hey, you know what? I could I could buy this car, I could buy this house, I could do this stuff, the extras. just solely based off the salon itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I had reinvested. I knew I was making the money because I kept opening up salons. I was opening them up. And I mean, along the way, I had started remodeling some of the other locations because as I opened up new ones, my taste changed and,
Yeah.
all right, I don't want this anymore. So now I got to go back and redo something that may not have been that old, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm heavy on what I want. So if I want it, then I mean, I'm going to get it.
No, that's
And
right.
yeah, so you got to stick to your guns like that. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it may not be a sound financial decision, but if you in this thing for the long term, it's gonna make you feel better,
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
people around you, they especially the people that work in the establishments, they see, okay, well, at least you care. Because you can go somewhere where they just don't care and they just
Mm-hmm.
want to get money on Friday or Saturday. But and then I reinvested and created salon sweeps. It was a lot of changes happening. So say about like year number 8, I
Okay.
started really when I really started seeing it, the return,
Mm-hmm.
which is good because most people can only keep one location open for 8 years. I mean, you figure by year number 5, I had 4. So I basically opened up a location every year. And I think I opened up 2 in one year. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you got to give us the rundown on these salons and then the bundles and the suites. So how many salons do you have now?
5 currently because I sold one and then I got rid of both.
So they're all Salon Renz.
No, right now the one on Old Silver Hill is considered Salon Renz and St. Barnabas Road. The rest of them, and see, then I merged my third location when I opened up this one here in Marlow Heights because it was a bigger building. It was the third one was literally across the street. I could see the building from the parking lot, and I
Mm-hmm.
kept saying, "Oh, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it." So the one day I'm like, "This doesn't make sense." I mean, I wanted to keep it. I guess to say I had a monopoly on the industry or on my corridor, but what I was building in Marlow Heights was so epic to me. I just felt like I needed to throw everything I had into that, and it was worth it. So I went down from 7 because I combined, one.
Okay.
Uh, so basically, I got 3 salons in one. I guess you could say that.
Wow.
Uh, but I've done a lot of moving around, moving and shaking with this
Mm-hmm.
thing. Then I got the one in Waldorf. Um, but the Waldorf and Marlow Heights are called the Suites by Renz because they're full. Even though all of my facilities are salon suites, Marlow Heights and Waldorf are full suites with the plumbing. Some of the ones in Marlow Heights,
Okay.
they got 4 bathrooms inside the suite. Um, so it's like these last 2, I just rebranded it because it's like the second coming of me,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at right now with my level of standard and expertise. While the other ones, listen, I show no shame to the other ones. I still love them. But the things that I've done in the last 2 will virtually be impossible in the others, just
Mm-hmm.
because it would take so much inconvenience for people that are already working and running. Um, and the thing is, Salon Renz, that brand has served me well, 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 well. Believe me. But that's like my more affordable option for people.
Okay.
It's a more affordable option. It's nice, it's a good place to work, but it's a more affordable option. The other 2, you can't work in the other 2 unless you gotta be making some money. You gotta be willing to pay. None of the
Mm-hmm.
suites are less than 350 a week. So, you gotta really be in this thing and you gotta understand what you're getting in return.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, so
So when did you open up the last, because you have like 2 suites, right? Like
I got
Waldorf and something.
Ordo and Marlow Heights. Well, I mean, all of them are sweet facilities, but the last 2 are the biggest ones. Yeah.
Got you. When did you open those up?
Waldorf is on year number 3, and Marlow Heights is on year number 2. So they
Why'd you
kind of
choose to
came.
go to Waldorf Nia?
Why did you choose to go to Waldorf?
I said Waldorf Nia.
Uh, well, I mean, I'm a native. I live in Waldorf. Two, listen, like I say, I move when it feel right. And I kept riding by the building where the salon is located for, I don't know, like 2 years, almost 3 years. And I kept calling and they wouldn't give me the time of day. And one day I was sitting at the tinderbox smoking a cigar and I was talking to this guy. He said, man, I'm a broker. I'm a commercial broker.
Mm.
Really? And then at first I just kind of brushed it off, but I went and bought a cigar and that's my wheels got to turn. I said, man, you got any properties? And he said, man, I got a nice place here in Waldorf. And he got to talking. I'm like, man, I've been trying to get in there for 2 years.
Wow. And you
So
happened to meet him at the tinderbox.
I met the broker that was representing the landlord at that time.
Wow.
And he sat there and told me, he said, we just started talking. And he said, man, I gotta show you, I want you to see how to properly negotiate a lease. And that was another thing I learned. That's like right before COVID. He's like, man, look at all your other leases. Did the landlord give you any money? And I'm thinking about, I'm like, give me money.
Like
Ah,
what?
I'm like, what do you mean, give me money? He said, man, you've been in business long enough, you got a big enough track record. I got some landlords that'll give you money.
Money for what though?
Do your build out. And I'm like,
What?
so I was sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, well, I got some money. So they're gonna give me some money. I can make this thing real nice.
Mm-hmm.
That was all she wrote. I mean, once we met, the deal was good. Uh, I mean, the landlord was aesthetic to have us, and we got to work. And I think it took us about a year to negotiate. That's the other thing people got to realize. It took us a year to negotiate a lease.
Wow.
Like a whole year back and forth, going to my attorney, going to their attorney. This what I want. This, all of these things. And I mean, I coined this broker, man. I wish he was standing right here because the thing is, he changed my whole way of doing business. I'm not, and he told me, man, you stop asking to do business and tell them what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Mm.
I've ever had. And I mean, the thing is, like, I'm working on a project now, and I just walked in. This is what I want. If you can't do it, then I'll find somebody that will. And this is my resume. I'm good. So where do we stand? And 80% of the time, they ready. If you come, with a track record that's good, they ready.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I was just blessed just to meet him. And I'm talking about over a cigar. And we were
Wow.
just, and I mean, that started because I went into the building. I'm like, I've been trying to get this building for 2 years. And then finally, it just all happened. And I had all the ideas, because I knew when I was right before were we coming out of COVID? I think we were coming out of COVID. No, because I got the building. It was cold. That's the thing. I took advantage of the pandemic because I'm like, I want the building now.
So you
Why
got it
you were
during COVID?
on COVID? I ain't know what was happening. No, nothing. I mean, you talking about I ain't know if I was gonna make any money, but I just was like, look, when we open back up, I'm opening back up with a bang. Like, and that's what happened. I mean, we got working on it during the pandemic. Time the pandemic was over, man, I opened up with something epic. I mean, if you walk into those doors, you're gonna be wild. I mean, and
And
I
then of
mean,
course everybody want their hair done, especially after the pandemic and not being able to get their hair done and stuff.
well, yeah, but I mean, I think for me, I was looking to give something. I realized that it was nothing really, really extremely nice in Waldorf at that time. There are some places now that have opened after me, but at that time it wasn't. It was like it was some sweets down there. I'm not going, I don't want to talk about nobody else's company, but it was some sweets there, but they not like what we put together in Waldorf.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we just put together something really nice, and that set the tone for the trajectory of my brand. It just changed the way I do business in a lot of ways. And
Mm-hmm.
then that same broker came with the opportunity for us to come to Marlow Heights. Because I kept telling him when we were talking, I'm like, man, I need something big
Mm-hmm.
up the way. I need something big. And I kept saying that I'll close all the other ones and combine them. If you give me something, I need something. And he came to me with this location. I had been over here once before. And man, I mean, the power of networking is unmatched.
I'm
You know,
telling you. And
it
I'm
is
trying to get people to see that it's not always in the traditional spaces. I mean, you met him at a cigar lounge. So it's not always the traditional spaces of going to a networking event, but just being bold enough to just have a conversation with your neighbor. Sometimes you just never know what could happen.
who you talking to. I mean, just the power, just talking to somebody. I mean, we just talked over a cigar and bourbon initially, and it just, spiraled into a great financial situation for both of us. And
Right.
now we work on something else. So hopefully we stay at each other's coattails.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm imagining that like the suites and having hair salons are like lucrative businesses. You know, I'm a makeup artist, so I'm a makeup artist. I don't know anything about hair salons, but I'm imagining it's lucrative.
I mean, it's lucrative. It is. I mean, I wouldn't if you can look at my IG and you can tell it's lucrative.
Mhm.
But what I will say is it's not a cash cow either, because you're gonna have some months when everybody's not gonna pay on time or at all, and you're gonna have some months where people are going to leave, and you gotta go in and remodel their rooms.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had months where I come in and it's the first of the month. I got all these leases that are up for renewal, and they don't want to renew. So what do? You got to go find new people, but you
Mhm.
might not find them in a week or 2 weeks. Now I've been blessed. I take that back. I normally will. Our rooms don't stay vacant that long. But the thing is just going in and remodeling the rooms, making the space rentable. Paying to make them nice. So you don't give somebody something that's just the bare bones. You want to give. I want to turn a room over to somebody. So you can see it in its fullest potential.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, the cost of doing that. And then we still aren't talking about the cost of just regular maintenance. I mean,
Oh.
I can go on and on about that. I mean, just this morning I woke up and in Waldorf, they're like, yeah, we got 15 lights that don't work.
What?
Okay. Well, the lights are burned out. So, I mean, the fixtures are burned out. So what do we do? Leave you in the dark, or am I calling an electrician? So, but who pays for that? I mean, I gotta pay for that. So that's the thing. I mean, you can have that. I mean, that's just on a small scale.
Yeah.
I've come to work and seen somebody drive through the building. So,
No way.
yeah, so like they just did up in Salon Plaza, not Salon Plaza, Phoenix. They drove a truck through the building up there.
Which
I,
one?
the one in Largo, I think. They
Wow,
drove.
that's crazy.
But the thing is, that happened to me like 8 years ago. Yeah, somebody drove a truck through to steal an ATM, you know. So when you think about, yeah, you make a lot of money. Yeah. If you could just take all of that money and put it in your pocket, man, shoot, we would be talking. I'd be on my yacht while we talking.
Right.
But the thing is, you can't pocket all of that money, and the expense of keeping the business open, paying the utilities. But that's the thing with the suite. I can't tell you, well, hey, you're using up too much utility, too much water, too much electric. It don't work like that.
Hmm.
Um, and the other thing is, nothing in the salon breaks on a day when it's slow. Believe me, this day of the week is when something is going to break. I
Right.
mean, if the heat gonna go out, it's gonna be on a Friday or a Saturday. It ain't gonna be on a Monday when you might have, a couple days to try to get somebody. So my point is everything is an emergency.
Right.
Uh, and no matter, like, I've got maintenance on staff, but you still got to try to get parts. You're always going to be paying more. If you care about keeping it, running at its best.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are some people out there that don't tend to it the way I do, and that's their prerogative. But my thing is, I'm expecting to be paid on time and in full, and in exchange for that, I'm willing to give you the amenities and the service that you require for said payment, to try to keep it at running at 100%,
Mm-hmm.
at least 99% of the time. Um, and yeah, we fall short of that, because that's just the way life works. But I mean, for the most part, we're trying to keep the facilities up, and there is an expense with that. So I
Right.
don't want this notion that you're just making money and you out here at Neiman Marcus every weekend, you
Right.
know.
Right. What are
And
like
a lot
what's like the average amount of the expenses for one suite?
for one facility,
Yeah, one facility. Like, what's the average you spend
like
on expenses like water, electric, that type of thing per month?
it's always going to be the electric. The electric and water is not far behind.
Mm-hmm. Like, how much though?
I mean, like for the large facilities,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You can get a $2,000, $2,500 electric bill. I mean, you could get more than that. Just depend if you're fully occupied. Is
Mm-hmm.
everything really busy? Is it really cold out? Because it fluctuates. When it's in August, that AC is on because you battling the heat outside, and then you battling the heat inside.
Mm.
And in the cold months, it's cold. So you're trying to keep it warm. So around about this time of year, when it's fall, when you kind of, all right, we don't really need the heat. We don't know if we need the heat or the AC. It's that in between. This
Yeah.
is most profitable times, but you got to save some of that money because it's getting ready to get cold. The end of November, it's gonna be cold.
Mm-hmm.
November, December. So you got to be prepared. And the other thing is when it's real cold or real hot, that's when the systems break. So you got to be prepared for the repairs. So
It's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, that's the thing. I always try to tell people. I mean, yeah, you're gonna make some money, but no one space is not going. I mean, you need multiples. That's just my theory. And I mean, I know you unless you can get one really really big one like a Phoenix where it's large. But then the thing is they have vacancies. We're all battling the same battle, trying to keep it full, trying to keep it nice.
Yeah.
You know, And if you got 100 people, I promise you, don't let Instagram fool you. If you got 100 people, you probably only getting paid from 70 of them. Then you constantly out the door, and that revolving door bringing in new people. So it's just a thing, but that's part of the deal if you want to do this. So
Yeah.
you can't about it or whine about it. That's part of the package.
Yeah. How do you deal with those type of situations when the rent is due or somebody's just totally delinquent, but they're still in there operating their business? Like, how do you approach that situation?
I mean, well, that's what you got your handbook for. And you get your rules and regulations. So you read the book and you stick to what's written on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, most people. I mean, now I know some places they lock this style of stuff in. I just had a theory. I don't need your stuff. I need the space. So I need you to just leave. Um, I don't want to keep anybody's belongings. I've just never been in the business of doing that. That's just not my thing. I want you to go so that I can bring somebody else in. Because the spaces was valuable to me, not the equipment
Right.
that you have. So, and then the other thing is, look, it's all business, but at the same token, I don't want to see nobody not able to make any money. I just need you to go try to make money somewhere else. So you got to take your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate that that happens. more than it should, but it does, and you gotta approach it with some delicacy. I think that's something I learned because early on anybody that done heard about me, whatever whatever rumors they done heard, they probably true. I have thrown some people out. I mean, I have done it. While
Mm-hmm.
they're not proudest moments, but people don't realize that they put you in that position to respond that way. Because I mean, I know for me, I generally give people a couple chances, and I try to get you to communicate with me on what's going on. I mean, do you have something going on? People don't just stop paying to stop paying.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been something I've known. I mean, you could have the best of the best. They don't just stop paying you just because. A lot of times there's something else happening. Either
Yeah.
they business is really slow, they don't know how to talk about it. They may have some personal issues going on. I mean, it's different reasons, but my main goal up front is to get you to communicate with me about, hey, I'm slow, or I don't know, my house, something going, tell me something so I can know how to move with
Right.
my own. Uh, and most times I will say, I'm gonna say it's 50-50. You'll get people to open up and say, hey, look, this is what I got going on. Is it something we can work out? Because I ain't trying to leave. But then you got people who, they really just want to leave. It's not that they don't, their time with you is just up. And that's okay. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people don't know how to say that. People want to go out with a bang per se. And they gotta create some kind of some storyline for why it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that may you just gotta stick to your guts. Stick to what you put on paper. Hey, look, if you ain't paid in 2 weeks, you gotta go. If you ain't gone by week number 3, then they know what's in that book that's gonna happen. And
Dang.
it's unfortunate, but a lot of times that when people get the bad end of it, that's because one, they haven't communicated at all. And two, they've been so egregious with it that now you're in a position as the business to say, hey, look, we still have to make the bills. So we got to get ready to move on. And a lot of times people take that personally, but it's not personal.
Just
You know,
business.
it's just business. And that's the thing. I think that gets misconstrued sometimes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow, this sounds like a lot, but it's good to know people. Like if people want to get into this type of business, it's good to know the good, the bad, the ugly of it. If there is someone listening who's like, okay, that's all cool. I can handle all of that with the salon suites. Do you teach people how to open up their own suites?
I've done it twice so far. But it's something that I want to do to mentor people and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to put together a class now so people can take to just give you the ground rules or foundation. And I
Yeah.
mean, that one-on-one mentorship is there too. So that's a service you can pay for as well.
Okay, okay. Because y'all, me and Renz was in a coaching program together. Because I feel like that was like your assignment, right? Weren't you supposed to be creating a course or something?
I did. I created one from out of the class
Okay.
and I ran it twice, but I'm trying to perfect it now. So, because I think when I took the class, I was getting ready to open up Marlow Heights, so I couldn't focus on all the way on it like I wanted to. But I just, I wanted to take the class while it was available.
Yeah. Is that the first time you ever did any kind of like coaching program before?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I it took me a while to see value in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to sound, like I know everything, but in my particular field, I've just been through so much early on that I just knew I innately already know the information.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I needed to take her class to make sure that I was staying up on the new marketing skills, how to create a class, what should a class, how can I take this information that I've, received and make it into something that I can teach you so that
Mm-hmm.
you walk away with something beneficial. Because people ask me the questions every day. Well, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm like, I can't give it to you in just a conversation. I need your time so you can really receive it. Because telling you in passing, I mean, yeah, it's a gem that I may drop, but you're not getting the full benefit of what I may answer, what that answer to your question may be.
Mm-hmm.
So uh it just took me a while to see value in taking somebody else's class, and I respected the instructor, so I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it was a good ploy.
That's good. That's good. We had a big group too.
Hmm.
And I do
Hmm.
remember you were always busy. You was always on location somewhere doing something.
Trying to be there, and it's crazy times.
Do you have a team or don't tell me you're doing all this by yourself?
No, we got a general manager, and then each location has a manager on site.
Okay.
So then it
Gotcha.
was for a while though.
Okay.
It was. And then we got a cleaning crew and maintenance, a team of maintenance contractors. So before a while, it's crazy because I had a stylist, we had a meeting week before last, and they called, oh yeah, the hose is broke on the sink. And I couldn't find anybody to come fix it. So reluctantly, I'm like, I guess I gotta go do it. And they were all looking like, you don't know what you're doing. I sat there and laughed as they kept, because you could tell when somebody walking by, they
Like,
walking by. Yeah. So
yeah.
I laughed at one of the girls. I said, man, yeah, I used to put the sinks in on my own. I mean, the whole sink,
Mm-hmm.
from the drain all the way through. And they like, I don't believe it. I'm like, yeah, I don't have time to do that stuff anymore. But it was just funny because I mean, even the maintenance guy, he's like, why didn't you just wait? All right, they couldn't work. Why am I gonna wait for you? They can't work. The hose is
Right.
busted open. And I mean, people would just be amazed that, dang, I used to do all of it. I was cleaning the salons. I mean, all of them. I would go to them. When I was working, I worked midnights on the police department. So I would get off at like 6 a.m. And I don't want to get nobody in trouble, but me and my sergeant was real cool. So if I needed to get off like at 5:30, she'd let me slide out so I could get to the shop.
Mm-hmm.
I would come in and clean them all in the morning, empty the trash, clean the bathroom, mop the floors. I mean, every day like clockwork. And that lasted almost 5 years before I actually hired cleaning personnel. And
Mm-hmm.
even with that, it took a while because I had to wait and find somebody dependable that was going to show up. And believe me, these big companies tell you, y'all, gonna be there. Sometimes they don't show. So I
Mm-hmm.
would still have to kind of like be at the ready to come in. Until now, we got a solid bunch. I think now we finally got things honed in. And yeah, we have little slip ups, but for the most part, I think we got it, down to a science.
Yeah, that's good. And then, like basically what I took from that is like a lot of people just knowing the ins and outs of their businesses, like even how to change the sink or just knowing how to do certain things and then passing it off so that you at least know what the job entails. You can kind of relate to the other person that's coming in and then, pass it off. Do you have any
Work.
siblings?
Um, Funny. I got an older brother, but we not on we don't see eye to
Okay.
eye. Let's say that.
Okay. So like how so is this y'all two?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So was he not like into the hair business and he didn't want to take over the salon? They just said give it to you.
Nah, I mean, I just took it. How's I mean, my brother is actually it's just my father's son, so I guess a half brother.
Okay.
But he is a very accomplished individual. He's actually uh I think now he's the city administrator for the city of San Diego.
Oh wow.
So he doesn't live on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he didn't have any interest. And I don't think the people had interest in working with him.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one. And I mean, I was growing I was already before my father died, I was already, even though I was in the police academy and all that, I was already coming in doing some of the functions. Like cleaning. I remember coming in and he was starting to remodel. Well, I learned a lot of stuff because hey, let me tile that floor. I ain't out tile no floor. My father just let me. And
Play
this is
around.
this before, this is why I said this is before an app or a search engine. I had a book from Home Depot
Uh-huh.
to how to tile a floor. Then I would go to Home Depot and take the classes that they were offer. You know, they had carpentry. They used to have all these little classes you could take. You could go in there and take them.
Okay.
And I just learned how to do this stuff. I went in, so I learned how to tile a floor, learn how to lay a floating floor, paint, do plumbing. I kind of do a little bit of everything but electric. I got electrocuted once, and not it's not my thing. But I mean, I'll do some stuff. But the thing is, I mean, I learned how to do that stuff. And I mean, when my father was living, I was coming in the salon doing a lot of, my father was getting older. So I was coming in collecting a booth rent on Saturdays. I mean, that was back when you took cash.
Mm-hmm.
You had to go there and pick up. Dropping off, I was doing deposits. I mean, and then my father was stuck in time. I remember he still had the credit card processor that you had to roll into the film paper.
Stop it. I
Yeah,
remember those, strangely enough.
yup, you had to take them papers, man. I remember going to the bank. I mean, it was a lot of stuff I was already doing. So it was just destined for me to probably do this thing.
Did
Um,
did you realize at that time, probably not, but did you realize at that time that you were being groomed for this? Or did you just see it as like helping out your father or just, helping out in the business?
I mean, I was just helping my dad. I mean, that's like really my idol. I mean, I know I keep going back to it, but we wouldn't even be having this conversation if it wasn't for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, he just had such a strong impact on me, not just me, but there are people that worked in the salon, man, in like the 70s that still come to my cookout. You know what I mean? They family. They might not even be doing hair anymore, but it's just people that he impacted.
Yeah.
Just being a man, not even him being the owner of the salon. So, and I think that for me, I got to see uh people wanted to do stuff for him. I wanted, it wasn't like he was forcing me. I just wanted to do it because that was my father.
Mm-hmm.
And it made sense. But I mean, I loved him so much that, hey, look, I learned you ain't got to pay nobody. I mean, the thing was, he was encouraging of, hey, well, go ahead. It's not like he was saying, oh, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't no discouragement. It was, and I often wonder, I don't know what he was thinking because I look at my own kids, I'm like, now, how much of this is we gonna waste? I mean, we
Right. But
gotta,
he trusted you, obviously.
right, yeah, he just let me just run with it. And I think for him, it gave him joy, to see that I was interested. But he knew because he tried to, I mean, he was teaching me to cut hair and I was doing the apprenticeship. Yeah, man, I was cutting hair. I was cutting my friends and I had got, pretty decent, but I was never into it so much where I was never gonna be a career barber. That wasn't gonna be my path.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he knew that. So the way that he kept me involved was I was taking appointments. Back then you had the appointment book at the front desk. It'd be like this big calendar that's the size of the desk.
Uh-huh.
And each stylist had a column, when you wrote their appointments in, you answered the phone and took their appointments. I was checking people out at the register. So I was getting the experience on how to, do the functions in the business. And I think that made him happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy to spend time with him.
Yeah.
So that was what I was looking for, was just to be able to spend time with him. And I was really most infatuated with watching how people responded to him, because you would have thought he was like a big, intimidating man, but he wasn't. My father was a little guy. I mean, he wasn't tall, but
Mm-hmm.
he just had such a big presence with people that, I really enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah.
Um, Now I didn't get all of those qualities, but early on I tried to mimic best I could, but we just had two different styles of dealing with people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why people always say, I wonder where I was like, eventually we would have butted heads because we just had two different styles. But out of respect, he would have just always been right. I would, I wouldn't have challenged him so much.
He might
I
have
would
still
have had,
been rolling credit cards. And you like, no, Dad, we could tap it now. We could tap.
listen, let me tell you, it was I remember we did the bathroom in the salon. I kept saying, hey, this is when they first started having pedestal sinks. I'm like, man, look, just get a nice pedestal sink. You don't need the vanity and all that. Oh no, 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 no. I'm like, this don't make sense. I mean, the bathroom not that big.
Right,
I
and
kept
taking up space.
yeah, and I remember we were home going back and forth about it, and I realized I'm like, I love you, and we're gonna do business together because I love you. But one of us got to be willing to concede to the other. And I
Mm-hmm.
always just say, hey, all right, man, you right. You've been doing it longer than me. Because at the time I didn't have any bearing to try to contest them. Other
Yeah.
than the fact that I was young and I'm dad, I know what's going on. But it just, it didn't always set well. And I think about it now because I'm like, well, I wonder how that conversation gonna go with my kids and me when it's my turn to kind of
Right.
loosen up the reins. Am I gonna be willing, to just say, hey, go ahead. And I've been doing this thing this long. It's gonna be a little resistance there.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you
you know,
expecting your kids to take over the business when they get older, or you're kind of open to them, going on their own path?
man, of course, like everybody else, you play in the NBA, you want your son to go or daughter to play basketball. I mean, I'd love for them to take over, but if they don't want to, I'm not gonna force it on them. I mean, they gotta feel it.
Hey, I have a serious question for you. You trust me, right? Yes? I heard you say yes, right? You heard them say yes, right? Okay, listen. If you said yes and you have a product or service based business that you want to expose to a loyal and engaged audience, then consider letting me share your business here on the Friends of Beauty podcast. Studies have shown that podcast listeners tend to trust the host, making the advertising messages more authentic and credible. And my favorite part, which a lot of people don't know, is the longevity. Unlike traditional ads that have a limited lifespan and disappear after your budget has been exhausted, my podcast episodes are available indefinitely. This means that your ad will continue to reach new listeners long after the initial episode airs. And you already know my consistency is off the chain. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. And as the Friends of Beauty podcast continues to grow, your brand will continue to reach a new audience. That's how it works here. So don't wait any longer. I want to expose your brand to my Friends in Beauty. All you have to do is click the link below with all of the details and we can make it happen. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
The way I felt it. I mean, I wasn't on the path, like I say, I was going to be the police. So I had gone my own way, but I end up circling right back. But I think they do need to go out and get some life experience, some work experience, working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Working on the police department gave me that I know I need to be on time. I gotta show up, how to conduct yourself just in life. So I
Yeah, that
think,
discipline.
maybe before they just get it from daddy. Because it might not be received the same. They're already gonna be spoiled, so go out into the world and so you can really see, what it's really like, and then come on back. But if they decide not to, and it's my turn to go to heaven or wherever we go when we leave, you know, my goal is to give them something that's sellable. That if they decide, hey, look, we don't want to do it, we're not going to do it, but don't run my legacy into the ground
Yeah.
because you're unwilling. Go ahead and sell it. I'm not going to be here. You know, I'm not going to be here to contest it. And I would love for you to keep it, but if you're not going to do it to its fullest ability, then go ahead and cash out
Yeah.
and move on with your life.
Yeah, I understand that. Have you, or a pretty well, how do I want to ask this question? I'll say, what kind of pushback have you received, like coming from the police department and being a man that is like in this space? Because I feel like traditionally you don't really see a lot of men that have hair salons. They would have a barber shop. You know what I'm saying? So do people ever, or had you ever gotten any pushback or, getting teased by other men? Like, you got a hair salon, dude? You selling bundles, Renz? Like, are you really selling bundles? Or people just know that you're in that hair industry and they don't bother you?
Contrary to belief, most men think it's dope. They think it's pretty.
So they probably like, oh, you a man, you in the hair salon, you gonna get all the girls, you got all these women coming in and out.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, people, in fact, they fantasize it like that. But once you in here, it's business. It don't matter how you look. I mean, it's business. I'm trying to make money, and you're trying to either buy a product or rent a space. You can be, well, if it's Beyonce, I may, but I'm gonna make money from Beyonce too,
Right?
So
Give her all the services.
right, you here for the services. So, but the people that are not in the business, yes, they feel like it's a whole bunch of women, it's a party every day. They don't realize it's multiple, what it really is multiple different personalities from multiple different backgrounds, multiple different thought processes,
Mhm.
um, thousands of different expectations that change by the day or by the minute, you know, um, thousands of different opinions. It's not always cut and dry.
Yeah.
All right. Every day we all wake up different. You may not be as happy when I'm happy, so I mean it's not all peaches and cream when you're dealing with people management. Um, but I mean I haven't really gotten much pushback. I mean, I think people just embrace me. Um, I mean, when I left the police department, I remember I was, I had just taken the sergeant's exam, and I remember I turned in my resignation stuff, my paperwork, and there was a captain. Oh man, you be back in 6 months, and salons don't make that kind of money.
Mm,
I had to
really?
sit down, and I sat there because I took my time. I said, dude, let me break it down to you. Yeah, you tell us on paper that we make 80,000 a year. It's true. But you still, everything comes out of my check. Time I get paid, it ain't an $80,000 check. I wanted to be able to control my own funds and okay, what am I putting in my retirement? What am I doing with my funds? My being able to maneuver my own money. Um, the other thing I took pride in is having freedom, the time. Being
Mhm.
a police officer, I ain't had no time. I remember going to people. What got me was I would go to somewhere. Oh man, I gotta go home and go to sleep because I gotta go to work, and it
Right.
might be Saturday or Friday, and I go to a cookout and start at 4. I gotta get there at 4. I'm out by 6 because I gotta go
Mhm.
to work tonight by 12. So it's like I just started to realize that I wanted a different way of living. Um, and the good thing is God just had it sitting in my face.
Yeah.
I just needed to pay attention to it. It
Mhm.
was sitting there. I was paying attention to it, but I wasn't giving it my full time and attention. And in between that, I had got suspended from work. I never forget. I got suspended from work. I was on the scene, and that's a whole nother story. No,
I'm
I
about to
ain't
say what you
violating
do.
nobody's rights, but the department is what it is. I got suspended. And I was sitting at home and I was instead of sitting at home, I got up every day. And this is back when I was really on my like I'm a businessman, which I still am, but I remember I was feeling it. So I was wearing a suit every day. I would get dressed, put on my shirt because I was a police officer. I was putting on their suit every day. So I said, I'm gonna get dressed, go in the shop. I was getting dressed every day, going in the salon. I was suspended for like 14 days. So I was, man, I'm talking about every day I was getting dressed. And I
Mhm.
started to realize like, hey, man, I really like doing this. I can come here, I can leave when I want, nobody telling me, hey, do this, do that. Uh, I mean, it started to feel good. Like I
Yeah.
say, I felt it. I remember going home and I was told my mother, I'm like, Ma, I think I'm gonna resign. And my own mothers who've been in the beauty business, oh, you don't understand. I've been doing this, and I'm like, Mom, I'm, I'm getting ready to do this thing. And it was the hardest thing to do. I remember going to turn my stuff in, and I was crying, like in tears, because I fought. hard to be the pro. I mean, I fought all the stuff I went through, just look, going through the academy is like birthing a child. I mean, I don't know, I ain't never, had a kid, but
You can
man,
imagine.
blood, the sweat that you put in, it's something that's unmatched. Uh, and think about it, I was a police cadet, so I was like in the academy phase for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it was just hard to let go, but I knew that I remember I bought I told you I like cars, but I had bought a Mercedes. This is like my third Mercedes, but I had bought I had bought an SL 500, and I really wanted this car so bad, and I finally got it. And I remember I'm like, man, I'm take the top off, but I'm driving to work. I take the top off, I'm driving home from work. When I get home, I might wash it, but I gotta go to sleep so I can go back to work.
Work.
And I was just thinking, yeah, I really like the car, but am I really enjoying it the way I want to enjoy it?
Mm-hmm.
And just a lot of things that were kind of pulling me. And eventually I just broke and was like, you know what? I'm resigning because I realized I could do another application for the police department up to 50 years old. You can be
Oh
50
wow.
years old in the police department. So I said, man, I don't care. I'm gone. I got while I'm young and got time to put, into this thing. And my daughter was born. She was a baby, and I wanted to spend time and be available for her, like my parents were for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, they were there. My mother and father. I mean, they were right there. So
You grew up in Waldorf?
no, I grew up in DC.
Oh, okay. You just live in Waldorf now.
Yeah, I had, yeah, like everybody from DC had
What
moved.
part of DC did you grow up in?
Southwest.
Southwest? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
everybody from DC. I'm moving it. We're back when I moved from DC. Everybody was going to Clinton.
Uh, mm-hmm.
Moving to Clinton or Upper Marlboro. Oh, all right. And like I told you, I ain't wasn't making no money. I thought I was. I ain't had no money, so that took me to Waldorf. Because then we talking 15 years ago. When I went to Waldorf and bought, I was watching my partners buy in Clinton, but I was paying way less.
Yeah.
And I had the stress of having a salon, so I was trying to juggle, trying to have something, but still juggle my finances, so that I could continue to grow the business. So I went to Waldorf, and I mean that was all she wrote. Now Waldorf has drastically changed since then,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean I went there from coming from DC. I mean it was good. I mean I think like 22 when I moved to Waldorf,
What high school
something
did you
like
go to?
Wilson.
Oh, you went to Wilson. Okay. I went to Banneker.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no. When year you come out of Banner?
Oh 04.
Oh no, you before. You might have been. I think my cousin Kendall was there in '04.
I know a Kindle.
Kendall Hines.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Mm,
I remember Kendall. I
yeah,
feel like
that's
she
my
was I feel like she was like a grade
she
behind me.
behind you.
Yeah.
Came out in '06, so she
Okay.
was a year me.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool. Oh,
yeah.
shucks. Nice, nice. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, like what are you working on your legacy being for your family, for the industry, with you having all of these businesses, like what is the ultimate goal? Like what are you trying to attain?
That's a loaded question. I mean, industry wise, I just and here's the thing. While there are many rumors, I hear them. I hear what people say about me, particularly. I mean, the good and the bad. And I take responsibility for some of the bad stuff. Being a man in this industry, it ain't easy because,
Hmm.
minute something ain't right, you know, it's you get chastised. But uh I'm trying to, I guess, leave a legacy of like clean business. People that really know me, they know that I like to do clean. I want the business to be done clean. Um, and the thing is, as people get to know me, they'll know like I got some stylists. This is my friend. Like we done been together so long, we friends. And I love
Right.
you. I want to operate out of love, but I still want to operate where the business is clean. And there's a line there that you tend to teeter on. But I think that there's a way that you can't. I think that the way I do business with me coming in and getting to know my people, even though I got managers and all that stuff, I think that at the end of the day, you start to realize that I got the best intention for you. Long as you do right by me. And my one of the main requirements is that you just pay your bill on time. If you do that or communicate about it, then we can, man, climb the mountain. Because the thing is, people don't realize that while, yeah, I may have accumulated a lot of things and have had a lot of success, we still got to pay the bills. I can't give you the best of me if we scrambling, to try to pay the bills for the actual business.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make sure we are able to give people a good standard and a good level of and an atmosphere for success. And I think I've been able to do that. If anybody just look at the track record of the business, the growth, how old I am, like age wise. I mean, I know people, I was just talking to somebody yesterday. They're like, yeah, I'm 50 and I just opening my third salon. I'm like, oh shoot, I just turned 35. I done opened and closed 3 of them. And I still got 6 of them left over. So, I mean, when you look at all of that, I just want people to be able to give people a good place to work. I don't want you to work somewhere, especially none of my places, and you not happy. I want you to have your creative juices able to flow, at its highest extent.
Yeah.
And on top of that, somebody got to do it. So the thing is, I always tell people, if I did it, then you can do it. But you already seen me do it. See, it wasn't nobody before me that I saw do what I'm doing on this level.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of go off and figure it out on my own. But for a lot of people, you've already seen it done either by me, and now there are many others that have had multiples. I know other people, I ain't the only one now. So you seeing the playbook. So my thing is for that generation that's coming behind us, how much better can you make it? When I see people open up, I just saw somebody open up some sweets. I'm like, dang, that drink look great. I'm a fan. I'm looking like, man, this is nice. I don't know why I didn't think about, because I'm watching other people, but I'm super proud of watching these folks get it done, man. They out here getting it done. And I mean, for me, I feel like while I may not know them all and they may not call me and sing my praises, but I feel like a lot of the local, like I inspired. I think I've put it out there and done it enough. Well, now you can do it.
Yeah.
It's not a doubt. It's no question. So I feel like I want that to be my mark. Like that I put that inkling in your brain, whether it was direct or indirect. I feel like I'm responsible for that. And I know that's a loaded, arrogant statement, but I do feel like I'm responsible for people really feeling like, man, I can own my own salon. I
Right.
can
That is
do it.
attainable.
Right. It's obtainable. It's not because I'm telling you, before when I started, it was people, I remember talking to people, they like, man, I can't get it done. I'm sitting like, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. So, I just find great, joy in watching people just do it and get it done. And contrary to, I hear people talk all the time. I ain't never upset watching another Black person go in business and try to make something for themselves. Because as long as we all open and we all making it, it's somebody else. If you open up down the street, it's somebody that's in the area looking for a space. Whether they coming for me or coming for you, we're attracting them into our realm. So, that's what you want. Open up and do this thing and be good at it. And I'm just super proud to see people getting it done. I was watching, it's a young lady named Kia. She used to work in my salon, I don't know, it's probably 10 years ago. And I can't remember why she left. I know it wasn't necessarily on bad terms, but I'm watching her like thrive right now. And it, as I watch her thrive, there are things that I mean, we're not close, but there are things where I'm like, okay, I wish you would have did this a little bit better. But the thing is, I sit back and I'm like, I know she probably saying the same thing about me, but I watch her and I'm like, man, she doing it. Regardless of whatever critiques anybody may have or I may have, she's actually out here doing it, getting it done.
Right.
And I'm just elated to see people doing that. That's just, I mean, for me, that's it. I just want you to know that it can be done and to see you create. I think we need that. We need Black business to thrive regardless of what it is. Because if we open up more salons, then we can have more Black product companies. You know what I'm saying? Then we can get back to having Black equipment companies that we used to have back in the day. These things existed, and they don't anymore. Why? Because we need the market to be flooded with us, and we need to be our own consumers and producers. So
Yeah.
I think that the next step for us as a beauty culture is starting to really get into creating our own product and selling our own product to us, just like the Dudleys did. But we need to take that to the next level. And I don't know if it's me that does it or somebody that's listening, but we got to do it because we got to start controlling what we putting on our head, what we putting in our body, the whole thing.
Yeah,
So
everything.
yeah, we gotta control it. Um, I think I answered your question. I
Yeah,
hope so.
the legacy is gonna be strong, just basically by the people you are impacting directly and indirectly. Yeah. Is
Yeah.
there anything that's coming up next for you that you can share? Anything exciting?
Um, right now I'm just enjoying. I'm I'm gonna focus. I'm kind of focusing on my family. Uh, but we will be remodeling some of our older locations, so you guys can look forward to that. And then we still have the expansion of the Marlow Heights location that's coming. And I mean, we're gonna keep selling hair across the world. Um, you know, uh, I can go on and on. I mean, we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing and get better at it every time. And that's it. I mean, I may open a school, you
Mhm.
know, haven't quite decided yet. But right now, I think, after coming off COVID, I went into opening these last three big facilities. Uh, I know people say strike while the iron is hot, but I think I'm gonna take just a little bit of time just to, be with my kids and my family
Yeah.
and try to enjoy my cars and the cigars, and then we get back to working on something soon.
No, that's right. Tell us, you receiving an award, right? You
I
got your
am from
receiving award.
Foundation, so I'm receiving an award for the Business Savvy Award. It's nice to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Um, it is.
Is this your
It made
first
me
award?
Uh no, I had gotten in the for this in this business, yeah. Um it is surprisingly, I guess. People always when I say that, everybody's looking at me like you looking at me like what?
No,
But
I'm only saying that because I just received my first award in September. I received an award that came out of like
good.
nowhere. And I told Ronnie about it. I shared it with her. She was like, girl, this is the first of many to
Uh,
come, but it was crazy. And then they gave me they surprised. So I knew about the award. So I went to New York to receive it. And then they surprised me. On top of that, they partnered with this brand, this beauty brand, and gave me a $10,000 grant for my business.
Congratulations.
So I was just like, mind blown.
You should need to be what? That's really good. That's
Yeah,
really good. You
I'm
should be really
excited. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the money yet. So I'm just going to sit on it and then I want to be strategic about whatever, I do
yeah.
with it.
Well, I mean, it seems like you're on the right track with
Thank
what
you.
you got going. So I wouldn't worry. I'm sure you're gonna find something and it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I want it to be one of those things like she got this grant and now she has a multi-billion dollar, I want it to be like one of those type of things.
Well, keep talking it I'm a big believer in manifestation.
Me too.
I man, I could go on, but I remember, the way, so what I have happening right now, I dreamed it.
Mm.
Like, I remember dreaming this dream almost a decade ago. I mean, down to cars that I have. I remember just, man, I can't wait. I know when I get in this thing, it's gonna make me how it's gonna make me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everything that I have manifested, like I've been the favor that is bestowed upon me, I have achieved it.
Mm.
I mean, it's like now I gotta find some new dreams. That's why I keep saying, I'm gonna take a little pause
Yeah.
because like I gotta start finding some new goals and what happens in this next 10 years in my life, and I mean I know we all want to make the money and all that, and I do, but man, I'm so in tune with my time. um I mean I enjoy having my time.
Mm-hmm.
So uh it's just figuring all that out, like how much of my time am I willing to give up to make $10 million. And you got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just there. Where do I go? If I want a boat, am I gonna sell on it or am I just gonna look at it? While other people sell on it.
Yeah.
So I just been on this kind of, I guess, kumbaya, new finding my
Your
way
soft
thing.
life.
Yeah, I'm in my soft guy life, y'all. I am. I mean, literally, I am. I am. I'm just, kind of on cruise control.
I like
But
that. Oh my gosh.
but it took a lot to get here. People just don't realize that it took a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of growth, I can imagine, self-development, all the things.
Yeah, because that's a lot of mistakes I made early on was because I needed some growth. People don't realize I was 19.
Right.
I try to
Mm-hmm.
out saying that to people, like somebody asked me, "Oh, you remember you threw this girl out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was 19. I didn't know any better. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to go and say, hey, you ain't paid. So, we need you to make arrangements to come have your stuff picked up." I didn't know. And at the time, I wasn't listening to anybody else because I thought I knew. So, and I'm gonna tell you, I had a lot of growth. My general manager, her name is Rhoda. She came to me just as a stylist. Shoot, probably in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember she was like the only one time enough. Like I would be doing my thing and she would just be ready, sharp with it.
Uh-huh.
And I ain't like her. She ain't like me. I remember, oh man, you ain't gonna be here long, And here we are. Now she's the general manager because I had to grow to respect one, her opinion, and two, she checked me. I remember she checked me one time, and I was with my homeboy. We were in the salon. He was like, "Man, I ain't never quite seen you kind of, you know, get quiet like that." I'm like, I don't know how to read this lady. I don't really know. Nothing is working. I can't charm her. I can't. If I talk to her with my chest out, it's not working. She just don't care. And
She
she
must be an
ain't leave.
Aquarius. Is she an Aquarius?
She'll leave.
Oh, okay.
But that was the thing. I started to realize that we were almost one and the same. But she had been in the business so long that she knew more than I knew. And she was the only one of the few people around me willing to call me on my own stuff.
Yeah.
And I started to respect her opinion because I eventually something happened in the salon and I went to her and I'm like, well, what you think? And I'm like, I know we don't see eye to eye on a lot, but what do you think? And from that point on, I started to realize like, well, she's not always right. That difference in opinion or that stoic kind of like, well, let's talk it through. Just the fact that she would listen to what I had to say and give me an accurate opinion, not just off her emotion, but just off her experience of
Yeah.
being in business. I grew to respect her, and then I grew to love her, and vice versa. And so I coined her to helping me grow up, you know, just as a person in this business, because
Mm-hmm.
I really needed it. I needed it. I had to learn, like, you can't operate out of fear. You can't scare people into doing what you want them to do.
Yeah.
You know, none of that worked. But again, I think when she came, I was like 20. I might have been 20. Shoot, I might have still been 19. I was still young.
Wow.
And so here we are. I'm 35. She's still here. And now she basically runs the day to day. So, um, but it took a lot for both of us to get there with each other. But along the way, she helped me hone in my attitude and, like, my arrogantness. Because I can be a little arrogant. But I mean, the thing is, I try to tell, the arrogance it don't come from nowhere. I have accomplished some things that I feel like, you know, uh, are worth talking about. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't waste, I didn't waste my time. And that's one of the things I try to tell people that are young, don't waste your time. When you 20, 19, 20, that's the time. Do it now. You
Mm-hmm.
get started now. Because if you wait until you 30, you still can get it done. And I'm not saying it is not gonna happen, but man, do it while you got all that energy.
Yeah.
Because when you turn 30, you gonna still have some energy, but ain't nothing like that 20 energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's unmatched. I don't care what nobody say, it's unmatched.
Something happens after 30. I don't know what it is, but
But I mean, it seems like on the day you turn 30, you just instantly
you want to take a nap every day.
right. I need a nap at 2 o'clock. Um, but I mean, I say that to say, get started. Why you can make those mistakes and you get a pass.
Mm-hmm.
You get a pass at 20 and you cut somebody out. You young. You know what I'm saying? But when you almost 40, ain't nobody giving you no
Like
pass.
you
You
should
just
know better. Okay.
know. And so that's the thing. Make all the mistakes early. Get started and just have some grit and keep rolling. I mean, I done some stuff. I done said some stuff to people. I'm thinking about now, like, I can't believe I, you know, did some of the craziness and people still want to come work in here.
Uh-huh.
Um, that's part of it. That's part of the learning curve. And the thing is, that every time that you're wrong, you have to be accountable, but you can't stop and just get down on yourself. I have this ability to just keep moving forward. I just don't worry about it. It already happened.
Yeah.
I don't worry about being embarrassed. It already happened. I did it, or it happened to me, and it's time to move on. And I just think people get down on themselves when it just doesn't quite go the way they were looking for it to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just learned early, just from that's something I learned in the police academy. As long as one foot can go in front of the other, you can keep moving forward. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's it. I mean, I say that from coming from running, we be running 10 miles and like, can your feet move? Yeah. Well, I guess you better keep going. So, I mean, that's one of the biggest things I would like to just hone into people, especially in today's world. People don't, we just get people we just quit. We in this microwave society where we want it to happen real fast. And it does happen real fast for some people, because social media will allow it
Or
sometimes. But
seemingly it happens fast for some people. I was just listening to something. It might have been this morning or a podcast guest. It seems like it happens fast for some people, but we don't know what they've been doing. Like somebody could probably come across you and be like, "Oh my God, he just did all of this from 29 to
oh yeah, but
from 29," but they don't know that you were raised up in the salons. So you already have you're like an outlier. You already have everything within you to be able to operate that. Whereas with me, it would happen that quick because I have no idea about salon culture, salon business, or anything like that. So I think
yeah,
we
but
got to do a better
job of like not just thinking. We got to like dig deeper into people sometime and start thinking that everything is like,
just
you know.
fast. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people do think that, but I mean, but that, that's the other thing I think of maturity. Just once you get a little older, you realize, okay, it was some work put in.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just become successful all of a sudden. And even people where it happens overnight per se, I mean, they still were working at it in some fashion.
Yeah.
Something was going on. Even they may not have realized it, but they were still doing something. And we all know it's always that lucky one that does get lucky. It's somebody. I mean, I got a friend. I'm just like, how did it just happen that fast? And it does. Sometimes people just hit. But we got to realize that people only show you what they want you to see. I'm not on my IG talking about, I lost a salon and COVID. I ain't talking about. I mean, one thing, I don't dwell on the past, but it's just not something that I want to talk about every day or all day
Mm-hmm.
or make part of my narrative. But it
Yeah.
happened. So along with that, everybody has some hardship. Everybody got something going on. We just only want to show you what we want you to see. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing about social media. You don't really know the people. You just see them just become successful all of a sudden. And I mean, that's just that's the way of the world now, though.
Mm-hmm.
People only gonna show you the good.
Right.
And I mean, I'm willing to talk to you about the bad, but I don't want to show you the bad stuff neither. Nobody does. But that's the way, that's what we've been kind of gotten into with social media and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to just know in your heart of hearts that your journey is your journey and your race to run. And
Absolutely.
it's gonna happen for you when it's supposed to happen. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You don't want something to happen too soon and the flame burn out.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying. Look, give it to me when it's supposed to come so that it can be a long lasting thing.
That's good
Till
word.
I die, I want to be doing this. And I joke with people all the time, like, man, I'm gonna be in the salon in my motorized wheelchair,
Build a
scooting
ramp
around,
for him now.
right, trying to collect booth rent. Like, hey, give me them coins, so but you gotta find something you like to do too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the other thing, a lot of people just doing what's cool. They just doing what's popular
Yeah.
because it looks, but they might not even love it. Like I think I was listening to Deion Sanders, who was, man, that's my man. People, they don't like the dude, but that's my man.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, stop playing because you like it. You got to play because you love it. A lot of kids, a lot of people, we do stuff because we like it. But man, you got to do it because you love it. And people don't realize like love is at an all-time low right now for everything. So we don't. Some people don't even know what love is. It's at an all-time low. But we gotta get back into that. Like stop, what I'm saying, praising people because they doing something that they like. Like what you really love doing. Let's figure that out. Let's figure out how to monetize that. Because when you 50 and you ain't got as much energy because you love it, you're gonna keep showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna still show up. Like I love to play football. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I love to play ball. Right now, if somebody called me and hey, you trying to play catch? Man, I got some play shoes in my truck. We gonna at least get out here and do a little something.
Uh-huh.
And you gotta do it because you love it. And we just got off that as a
Absolutely.
society.
Yeah. Monetize what you love. I love that. This look, I can talk to you all day. I ain't trying to I ain't gonna hold you too much longer. I know they probably like they just rapping. But before I let you go, I have to ask you the Friends and Beauty rapid fire questions. So whatever comes to your mind first, you can spit it out. If you need to elaborate, that's fine too. You
Okay,
ready?
I'm
All
ready.
right. People get serious on this part, but first one is what are the top three keys to your success so far?
Not caring about opinions or tunnel vision. Let's say that. Let's go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Tunnel vision, uh, grit, and praying.
Okay. How do you measure your success?
I don't really measure it. I don't. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I don't necessarily measure it. I just tick off the goals that linger.
Do you celebrate yourself?
I have not been oh well, yeah, this is my birthday. I always celebrate my
Like your
birthday.
accomplishments, like you opening up these sweets and this and that, like it don't
People
have to be
always
anything big, but do you just acknowledge it? Say, I'm gonna go have me a cigar in observance of I just opened up this sweet.
with my closest are close,
Okay.
but I'm just not big on this. You know how people do this big thing with social media and all. That's while it's good, and I know that's some people's way. I just always feel like that's revenue that I could run back into the business. It's just not my thing. But I don't knock anybody that does it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
because it works.
Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received or a piece of advice that's just always stuck with you?
Oh God, I'm telling you now. Uh, I somebody told me. I remember talking to a guy when I was on the police department, and I said, "Man, I he had like every car that I ever wanted." And I just remember, I'm like, "Man, who hooked you up? Like, what are you doing?" He looked at me. He said, "Man, God is my plug. God is my hookup." And I'm not trying to get super spiritual, and no, I'm not at church every day or every week, and I don't have a Bible handy. But I do know for sure everything that I have gone and prayed about has happened.
Mm,
Everything. I cannot think of one thing that I have gone and prayed for, with the exception of my father dying, which we could pray about it 100 times, and we all gotta go. So
yeah.
we know that when we born. But other than that, I cannot think of one thing that I turned to God about and asked for that has not happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like zero. So I just think praying, you gotta stick with it.
You gotta stick with it. I love that. What advice would you give to another business owner right now who is just not seeing the success that they want in their business and they're just ready to give up?
Don't give up. I
Don't
mean,
give up.
don't give up on it. If you love it, like I said, and you really feel like this can work, because I done felt that way. I mean, I've literally felt that way where I'm like, I'm just this ain't working. And don't a lot of times you feel that way because you measuring, like you said, your own success based off somebody else's.
Mm-hmm.
But just have that tunnel vision and don't give up. Keep fighting until you can't fight no more. Till there's no other option, you keep fighting. And have the tunnel vision. Just keep fighting and pray on it. That's it.
Okay. What's a resource that has helped you in your business or helps you in your business that you can share with the friends and beauty community
Mm, a resource.
other than your broker?
Yeah, I'm going to say that's the biggest resource. Um, one of the main things that helped me early on was having a job.
I was going to
And
ask you if you had a job at some point other than the police department, like after you stopped the police department.
um,
Hmm.
yeah, I didn't have a job other than the police department. But working on the police department helped finance a lot of my early dreams. So having a job when you're getting started, there's nothing wrong with that. I know people always want to say like, "Oh, I'm a boss. I work for myself." I mean, yeah, you might be blessed enough where it just pops off like that. But the thing is, I used my job as a bank. There was guaranteed money. Once I
Mm-hmm.
knew the salons were making money, I could always go back to my job, my work money. I kept my cost of living at that time, low, so that I could reinvest until I got to a point where I was comfortable, to jump out and stretch out a little bit. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a job when you're getting started. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let nobody tell you indifferent.
Right. So you said you did have a job after the police department or you didn't? Oh,
Uh-uh.
okay.
Got you. Yeah, Ronnie told me when we was in her program, she was like, "You need a job." It's like, well, damn, like.
It's nothing for having a job. I mean, the thing is, you only work in a job temporarily. You
Mhm.
know what your goal is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if you're lucky, if you can find a job that's in like the field that you
Right.
want to be. But hey, look, I don't knock it for nobody, because you still got to have revenue coming in. You still got to eat and
You
all
gotta
that
do what you
stuff.
gotta do for yourself. Like, forget these people on social media that you don't even know.
And look, if you look at my personal social media, it's not,
Raw.
I mean, it's dry. I don't even, I've been trying to be better about it, but I mean, people are influenced. They want you to see what they want you to see. So don't let that worry you. I would just
Mhm.
tell, look, if you gotta get a job, I don't care if it's a daggone Chick-fil-A. If they paying you, when I give out these chicken strips, I'm put a business card in there. Here you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little
All
QR
right.
code on the back.
All right, look, I ain't mean to drop that in your car. I'm sorry, I ain't mean to put that in there, but you keep it though.
Uh-huh. That's right. So the last one, I just want you to fill in the blank and just say, my name is blank, whatever your name is. And the key to longevity and success is whatever you think it is personally.
Well, my name is Renz, and the key to longevity and success is having a good relationship with God, having tunnel vision, and not giving up on yourself, even in your darkest or weakest. You know, you have that relationship with God, you pray on it, and you just gotta wake up and get to it. And I know that's easier said than done, but I'm telling you from a man that I done had all the trials, I done experienced death. I just lost my grandmother, who was like my mother. So I done experienced it on every magnitude that you probably could think of. But you have a responsibility to yourself to accomplish your goals and your dreams. So you got to pray on it and have tunnel vision so you can stay focused and
Mhm.
just keep one foot going in front of the other, even when they talk bad about you, because they ain't talking if you ain't doing something right.
All
So
right.
that's my spiel.
Okay. I love it. Before you go, please share like your social media information or website, whatever you want to share for people to connect with you and your many businesses and get some of these
Um,
bundles too.
if you want to connect with me, my personal Instagram is the hair Jefe, like Jefe, Jefe, like in Spanish, and stands for boss. And the salons you can go on and find on Instagram, Salon Renz or the Sweets by Renz. And of course, the hair is Bundles by Renz. And you can go bundlesbyrenz.com and shop with us as well.
Great. This has been such a great and full conversation. I appreciate you so much for sharing with us.
I'm happy you inquire for me to come on.
Yes, I've been wanting to have you on for a while, but yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with another friend in beauty. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review so that other friends in beauty can find the show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty. Hashtag Friends in Beauty to join the conversation and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.